Okay.
Hello and welcome to the final part of the John McAfee series. Now let me catch you up to date on what McAfee's been up to since 2012. After being deported from Guatemala, McAfee landed in Miami and checked into a South Beach hotel. The next day he hired a prostitute named Janice at a beachside Miami cafe. The two fell in love, but threatening the relationship was a violent pimp named Suave, who McAfee claimed he had to rescue her from. After his heroics, the two moved to Portland where they married in 2013. As we all know by now, McAfee loves to spin a self-mythologizing yarn to just about anyone who will listen. So it's no wonder that he spent the better half of 2013 occupied with the development of books, movies, graphic novels, and documentaries being made about his highly colored life.
This is Clark's treatment.
So this is the tagline, James Bond meets Scarface.
With a little Indiana Jones, right. So it's all three, kind of.
In May of 2013, he told USA Today that he had spent the previous months eluding assassins sent from Belize and being shot at. He said he was constantly on the move, from town to town and hotel to hotel. As a warning to his supposed pursuers, he announced that he's always armed and has won numerous shooting contests. Further adding to his paranoia, a bushfire burnt down his compound in Belize 4 days after he spoke to USA Today. When asked about it, McAfee said, "I believe that there are a select few with great power in Belize that will go to great lengths to harm me. This fire was not just a strange coincidence." It was around this time that McAfee began to embrace his public persona as an eccentric and self-destructive millionaire. Prior to that, he presented himself as a strict teetotaler, one who took out newspaper ads to expose drug houses in his neighborhood. As Mac 10 told me, he banned the use of any substance on his property.
No one couldn't take alcohol or no one couldn't drink. It was an alcohol-free zone, and so it was a drug-free zone. So not sure where that came from, but I didn't see him drinking, and no way on his compound had alcohol.
But somehow, within a few years, he went from this.
By the way, I stopped using all drugs, selling drugs, or accessing drugs a little over 30 years ago, so this is not a recent part of my history.
To this.
Would you mind if I shoot up heroin on camera?
I would advise you against that.
I'm not shooting it up. I'm just getting ready for it. I will see you guys later, okay? I gotta start my tune, right?
It was great talking to you, man. You take care.
Bye-bye.
With his brash and irreverent video titled How to Uninstall McAfee, he solidified his gonzo image in the minds of its millions of viewers.
You know, something went wrong. 15 years ago, I had some beautiful software and they took it over. I don't know what they did. It was like the time I hired that Bangkok prostitute to do my taxes while I fucked my accountant.
In late 2013, while living in Montreal, Canada, he was evicted from his Portland apartment, seemingly due to a lack of payments. There was a stalking complaint filed against McAfee after the building's property manager received emails from him that mentioned threatening associates from a motorcycle club and his arsenal of weapons. A judge granted a temporary protective order against McAfee and scheduled a January 3rd hearing, which McAfee didn't attend. He told Men's Journal that he spent the year fleeing from the Sinaloa cartel. In actuality, he worked as a consultant in Montreal before moving to a small town in Kentucky called Lexington. By 2015, he went into business with a tech incubator called Roundhouse. Then he started a company called Future Tenth Central, which acquired cybersecurity products. One such product was called Divasive, which protected users from malicious apps attempting to gain access to their phone's features that are sensitive to infiltration, such as its camera and Wi-Fi. Divasive ended up being a commercial failure. He became the chairman and CEO of MGT Capital Investments after meeting its former head, Robert Ladd, who asked him to come on board. At the time, MGT was ostensibly focused on acquiring, developing, and monetizing intellectual property assets. But in reality, it functioned as a penny stock pump and dump that would go on to be investigated by the SEC and face a class action lawsuit. MGT wanted McAfee to be the face of their company since he was sure to create a buzz. And that he did. MGT became the second most traded stock in the United States within a week, and saw a 1,000% stock jump after McAfee was named CEO, but the effects were temporary. There was the matter of some infighting between McAfee and investor Barry Honig, but that's not the reason that MGT sunk into obscurity. The reason was because it was all a scam. Quote, MGT has been run like nothing but a pump and dump since May. MGT hired John McAfee to pump the stock price, which he did very well on Twitter. MGT hired paid promoters like StockBeast.com to pump the stock price. MGT used misleading forward-looking statements and forward-looking promises in all of their press releases to help pump the stock price. MGT was all about promotion and nothing about current business operations. Soon, MGT was removed from the New York Stock Exchange. And in 2018, MGT was hit with a class action lawsuit over allegations that its former CEO participated in a pump and dump scheme to manipulate the price of company shares. Surprisingly, McAfee managed to get out relatively unscathed. He left the company in August 2017 and set his sights onto the cryptocurrency craze. With his tech background and wild man image, McAfee was well suited to become a major figure in the 21st century gold rush that is the cryptocurrency world.
I got an arsenal, a bunch of big guns, drugs, and some cars to pull. Cars, hoes with the crypto paid in full. A bunch of hating motherfuckers writing articles about McAfee, John. McAfee, John. McAfee, John. Don't fuck with my dogs,
He broke onto the scene in a big way. He famously declared that if one Bitcoin was not worth $1 million by December 31st, 2020, he would eat his dick on national television. Someone made a website to track his promise. On it, you can see that Bitcoin is currently sitting at around $5,000, which is 89.22% below his prediction. With 643 days remaining, it's unlikely that his prophecy will come true. It's also unlikely that he'd ever make good on his promise. Something similar happened when McAfee announced that he'd give $250,000 to anyone who could hack his unhackable Bitcoin wallet called BitFi. It was hacked. A teenage hacker even figured out how to play Doom on it, but McAfee refused to pay up. Even still, his ability to move cryptocurrency markets with a single tweet is undeniable. Whenever he promotes a coin, it surges in value. But he does have his fair share of critics. Some say that he uses his influence to run pump and dump schemes. The theory goes that he buys obscure altcoins, tweets out his approval for them, and then takes advantage of the temporary price momentum by selling off his previously purchased coins. Currently, McAfee says he's on the run from the IRS.
I have not paid taxes for 8 years. I've made no secret of it. I have not filed returns. Every year I tell the IRS I'm not filing a return. I have no intention of doing so. Come and find me. Not illegal. Today, January 22nd, the IRS has convened a grand jury in the state of Tennessee to charge myself, my wife, Mrs. McAfee, 4 of my campaign workers with unspecified IRS crimes of a felonious nature.
Thing is, there's no proof that the IRS has any plans to indict him at all. Presently, McAfee is situated somewhere in the Bahamas. Those following his Twitter are treated to daily updates of his shenanigans from the Freedom Boat, a yacht lent to him by a fan. You should follow him though. Sometimes he tweets about fucking whales. He's also running his 2020 campaign from the aforementioned yacht. He announced plans to recruit 20,000 clones who will wear John McAfee masks and act as his surrogates on the campaign trail. They're set to appear in areas where McAfee wants to speak and broadcast a live feed of his voice through loudspeakers. I left out a lot of things for brevity's sake, but here's a quick rundown of some trademark batshit insanity from John McAfee since 2012. In 2017, he went on a naked shooting spree in his Tennessee home after thinking that he heard an intruder. The FBI investigated it. They found nothing. McAfee told Newsweek that his house is a fortress. Quote, I eat, sleep, and shower with a pistol in my hand. When I enter the main house from my bedroom, secured with a 10-gauge solid steel door, my 2 German shepherds and 1 pit bull precede me. Moments before I emerge, I call my head of security and request that my detail all be sitting in reclining chairs with their feet up, a vulnerable position since I am standing and armed. This is not a fun situation. He also once said that he was poisoned in a tweet which read, I apologize for my 3-day absence, but I was unconscious for 2 days at the Vidant Medical Center in North Carolina and just woke up. My enemies managed to spike something that I ingested. However, I am more difficult to kill than anyone can possibly imagine. I am back. And for those who did this, you will soon understand the true meaning of wrath. I know exactly who you are. You had better be gone. So it's time to bring this series to an end. To me, John McAfee represents the worst and the best that humanity has to offer. On one hand, he's probably a psychopath, but on the other hand, his life story also inspires awe. I genuinely look forward to whatever the hell it is that he does next. And you know, if what's next is a prison sentence, well, I'd probably shrug and think that he had it coming. Thanks to everyone who's been watching, and a thanks to future viewers as well. That's it for now. Until then, stay tuned for more weird stories.
That's all you